also sharing.
I mean, the most convenient tool in the world, religion.
Yeah, because people need ethical and moral frameworks. So yeah, if you have a cause that has an ethical or moral framework, rightly or wrongly so, people will be more motivated to fight for it. Much though I disagree with him for it, even though I support Russia. Putin having Patriarch Kirill declare that the war in Ukraine was a holy war was a genius move. Very genius move.
Yeah, just add the word holy, and this is why I think much abuse is done to this very institution called religion. Say that again?
That's
what does it mean?
Voice from the outer world. It's
the Dune from Dune.
Yeah, it's kind of the bastardized Arabic that the Fremen speak in Dune. Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
I haven't read the books, but those movies were set.
Well, that's the thing. Is if you read all of them, he never got to finish it. But if you read all of them, it's clear that the main character is not Paul Atreides, and that everything that the Atreides family does is a commentary on the dangers of basically people using religion to gain political power, etc. So yeah.
I mean, that was pretty clear.
Are you saying Uthman might have changed the Quran?
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
No, but the thing is, even though, you even take this statement, right? People using religion to gain political power, but all politics comes from an ideology. Religion is just a type of ideology. So we're presented this, critique as if it's objective or neutral. It's not really a neutral critique because, okay, if you don't like religion as the ideology, guiding government, that's fine. But you do need an ideology guiding government. So why is your ideology necessarily better than the other?
I think Herbert's caution. He's not saying don't have an ideology or never let ideology, advance things or whatever. But he's saying never get so mired in your ideology that you lead to the extinction of, the human race, basically. Because this is a broad space opera, sort of huge, galactic empire, and essentially the whole trope of the Dune books is that they had this Butlerian jihad, right, where they eliminated all quote thinking machines. Basically, they had an AI problem. They eliminated the AI, and then they went back into this sort of feudalistic structure. There were the Paul Atreides things. There were basically religious sects that were guiding the development of the human race through genetics, and that resulted in Paul Atreides, who then resulted in Leto II, who basically was a tyrant, dictator, strong-handed ruler for 3,500 years, but during his rule, even though he was an asshole the whole time, he was being an asshole on purpose to set up the human race for basically getting to the point where they could readopt technology in a positive way and exist with it. And he never got to write the last couple books, but it's pretty clear that's where he was going with the storyline. So it's basically don't get so mired in your ideology that you prevent, the good or the continuation,
Oh, stop. My God is better than your God. There's no way you can...
I understand, but the funny thing is, the reason I find this critique amusing is that when you look at the actual societies that enforce that sort of totalitarian mass death, arbitrary killing, we don't care whether you're guilty or innocent, just kill wholesale people for power, those all tend to be more secular societies, specifically atheist societies, Mao's China, Soviet Union. I mean, I can even argue groups like the Baathists, right? In places like Syria and Iraq, right, who are really just, secularists. at best LARPing, potentially as being religious. But the critique is always ironically thrown at religious folks whose society.
I'm not throwing it at religious. Don't get mired in any ideology to that point. And when I say secularism, I'm talking about the type of secularism that allows for all religious practice and syncretism and all of that. It isn't interested in eliminating religion. Things like Mao and Stalin, they were interested in eliminating religion because they viewed it as a competing ideology to communism, right? So that was the thing there. I'm talking about secular states that are like, religious practice, belief, things like that are wholly separate from politics and, should be practiced in that way.
No, I understand that.
I'm sorry, Sultan. Did you forget when King was representation of God on earth? Did we forget the whole Victorian era? Did we forget Henry VIII? I mean, Sultan, come now.
Yeah.
If you want,
oh my God.
if you want to freaking no. If you want to freaking attack atheists, of who I'm not a part of because I have no dog on the race, one should also consider eras in which the king was very much a representative of God.
And that's why.
Right.
Yeah, like the entire, the annihilation of most of the Native Americans was, highly led by the Spanish,
So that's the issue, and that's actually the direct comparison I made. So let's look at the three you just listed. Me as a Catholic who had family that fought against the British. The British, even under Henry VIII, didn't just purge the country of Catholics, right? It would have been literally impossible. So, that idea is just incorrect.
You're kidding me? They killed Mary Boleyn. Not because she was just...
They killed kings. I don't know what's denying they killed kings. I'm saying in comparison, per capita levels of violence, yes, the atheists and the secularists do trump the religious folks. Number two, with the Spanish, right? For one, most of the natives died of disease. There's no indication that anyone understood germ theory, which is why actually some Europeans even died of native diseases that were brought back. But of course, they were more disease tolerant because of how they lived. Number two, you have the mestizaje, right? That's common throughout the entirety of Latin America, where the Europeans literally intermixed with the natives. Number three, and this is the big thing, how did, was it Hernan Cortez with 500 men, Francisco Pizarro with less than 1,000 men, and I forget the other one in Chile, right? Conquer powerful empires, right? Like the Incas, like the Aztecs, and I forget the other one. It wasn't because of the 500 men he had. It was because, contrary to what we're told, that 500 men just came and slaughtered 20,000 people. Well, actually, those 500 men were supported by about 10,000 other native people who were so sick of being oppressed by their own, quote-unquote fellow natives, that they literally said that, the Spaniards are better than you. And they continued to say that the Spaniards are better than you after the Spanish took power. So we're told this story, and I'm not saying that there weren't abuses, obviously.
I'm just saying that if you're going to glaze over it, I mean, literally, when Mao went out, he didn't go out going, we're fighting in the name of secularism. No, he was doing it for communism. And that's what I'm saying. He viewed religion as a competing ideology to communism. It didn't have anything to do with wanting to have a free secular society.
Secularists must also view religion as a competing and hostile ideology, because most religions, yes.
No, the United States is a perfect example. We let everybody practice whatever religion they want. We don't see it as a competition with secularism. We say politics should be secular and spirituality can be whatever it wants to be.
Well,
just don't try to oppress other people with your morality.
The United States actually is one of such many examples of what I'm about to say. Now, I could end the debate by simply saying that the people who formed modern secularism as we know it literally formed it as an opposing ideology to religion, i.e. post-Enlightenment thinkers among the secular liberal humanists. They literally made it clear that, we are forming our ideology to get rid of the power of the church, to get rid of religious ideology we don't want people to believe. But more relevantly, even upstream of that, if you want the modern secular liberalist state, then you need all the quote-unquote religious people or otherwise to not have ideologies that say that, the state should be governed in any way other than the modern secular liberalist state. Many religions either outright state or heavily favor conclusions that say, yeah, the modern secular liberalist state does not encourage our values, does not encourage our identities, and is not really the best way of how people should live.
See, you keep saying,
So-
are you talking liberalist like classical liberalism? Because like, if you're talking about like trying to label all secular states as like some sort of like leftist thing, that's just not the case at all.
It has nothing to do with modern definitions of leftism. It just literally the modern secular state, which is based on post-Enlightenment liberal ideologies, right?
Okay, so you're talking classical liberalism.
Yes, classical liberalism. Yes, that is hostile to the idea of religious people thinking that, yeah, you can govern the state in any way other than ours, because otherwise the state doesn't work. If Americans don't believe in the U.S. Constitution and say this document is fraudulent, absurd, and is not what should govern our state, well, then the U.S. Constitution has no power. Same thing with the British, same thing with the French, same thing with everyone else. Now,
That's not the case. It's quite the opposite.
And that's the issue. But
Why is that the issue? The issue is like literally government should make no law in regards to religion. That means don't prohibit religion. It totally protects the practice of religion.
Not necessarily.
Yes, it does. That's literally what it was put in place for.
Okay,
If you can read all of the reasoning behind it. It wasn't meant to eliminate religion. It was meant to protect religious practice.
I as a traditionalist Igbo, don't believe that, twins are evil. So I have a medical practice. Any person that tries to have twins and, my medical practice, we throw them out. We throw them into the bin. You're not even allowed medical and healthcare. Does the U.S. Constitution protect my right to do that? No, it doesn't.
You
When he
take it
lost,
to the Supreme Court and
they don't protect my right to do that.
No, not when it hampers human rights, right?
Oh, perfect.
Also, you guys don't let me practice Sharia law in here.
So yeah. I agree with you, ma'am. I agree with you, baptizer. And so far as the limitation goes, like within the limits set for human rights, it's like saying, can God do anything? It's one of those kind of questions that you're asking. Can God lift a rock?
It's even more upstream than that. The simple thing is that the modern state needs people to uphold its definition of how society should operate. So it is definitionally hostile to any religious ideology that even questions, is this the best way that, people should govern? Now, when you actually look at the major religions across the U.S., the modern state is actually hostile to all of their ideologies. Let's take even the Protestants, right? God though they are, they still ultimately believe that truth does not